Hello, Atlanta. It's your girl Sharon Starward, the new host of Atlanta Hood Connection. I'm going to be interviewing a fabulous woman and friend to tell her story in her own way. We ready? We ready? What hood you going to represent today? Yes, yes, yes. And now please welcome the fabulous Miss Joyce Carter. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Just to kick us off, I want to pay homage to your mom because I know how beautiful moms are to anybody like a lost mind. So how do you do?
My mother's doing fine. My mother's 86 years old.
86.
And she's driving.
No.
And she's going to the senior citizen club. She's doing everything that at that particular age that she could possibly do.
That's awesome.
Yes, Lord.
Yay.
Thank God.
Good. Just to be, were you a great baby?
Yes, I am a Grady baby.
You're a great baby.
I am a Latin. Yes.
You know, I know your family. I know your siblings. I know Val. But I don't know anybody else. And where do you fit in all of that?
Well, I have my older sister. I have an older sister, which is Jeannie.
Mm-hmm.
Her name is Eugenia. Then my brother, which is Robert. And then myself. And then I'm the third oldest. And then I have Val, my young, next to me. And then I have a sister, younger sister, Michelle. So I am a middle child.
So I do know Val and Michelle. I didn't know the oldest one. But I do know you have a history with my family. Not only did we grow up in the same neighborhood, and that I'm here to say, well, who are you going to represent?
I can represent any hood. I can represent Perry Home. I can represent East Lake Meadows. I mean, I can represent even Vine City because I was in those areas as a child.
Okay, so rather than talk about East Lake, the last one you said?
East Lake Meadows was the last hood that I was in.
Also, so let's focus on a few things in the first, second, and then East Lake. How about that? Can you tell us anything about those?
Okay. Well, I was born as a Grady baby as well. And then I was raised in Perry Home. My mom and dad, we lived in Perry Home up until the age when I was like maybe in grades. I don't remember the age, but maybe the fourth or the fifth grade.
Yeah.
And then my mom and dad purchased a home in Atlanta, which is Fathom Road, like 2 houses down from Harper High School. I think there's another name now. And we lived there up until, I think it's Charles Archer High School now.
Okay.
We lived 3 houses down from Harper on Fathom Road. A lot of people don't know that that's not originally from Atlanta. We was like, our house was in the front of Carriston Pigs, which was an open home for children.
I didn't know that.
So,
and I'm from Atlanta, didn't
yes, and being in that neighborhood, like I said, I can remember when we was in Perry Home. I can't remember too much because, I was young. I went to the school, elementary school was Rockdale Elementary School. Then you had Carriston Pigs, and you had Archie High. That's mostly where the people in Perry Home attended. When we moved to Fathom Road, I went to a school called Garden High. Not like the kids today. We walked. And it was like a mile and a half or more.
Mile and a half,
or more. Yes.
Jeez.
Yes. And back in those days, which people don't probably not know now, at least the younger group, is that we didn't wear pants. We wore dresses. So only way we could wear pants if it was cold and we was walking to school.
Why you had to wear dresses though? It was a dress code.
There was no dress code. Back in that time, we did not wear pants.
Really?
We did not. I don't know about people where else.
Uniform dress or just
uniform
dress?
at all. We just only wore dress. The only way you could wear pants if it was cold. That's it. Because we walked. There was no school buses. So we walked. So after we moved out of, of course, I was living in the house, and it was only like 3 families on this particular street. We was on Fathom Road, but it was a street called Hardy Street, and you had to go down the Rocky Road. It was only like 3 houses that were kids. People find it to be funny is that just a side joke that Caristeel Pitts. I honestly thought that they had a better life because there was so many of them. And so with only 3 families living on the street that had kids, whoever came out first, that's who you got to play with. So if we came out last, they wouldn't play with us.
Are you serious? Wait a minute. Back it up. Explain it one more time.
Okay.
That
3
makes no
houses
sense. You got
on the
3
street
houses.
that had kids. They had kids.
Okay. They were all
including our house. All of us. Just us.
Just we.
3 houses.
3 houses.
3 houses. They
1,
had
2,
kids.
3.
1, 2, 3.
So there was 1 house, 2 house, 3 house. I got that.
No, there was a house behind us
Mm-hmm.
that people lived in, and there was houses running down Hardy Drive.
Okay.
But as you walk down Hardy Drive, what you call the Rocket Road, to the left was Caristeel Pitts. But Caristeel Pitts was really off of Balvin Road, the main gate.
But I know Hardy.
Okay. So in those 3 houses, there were kids. Now, if my mom and dad kept us in the house, the other 3 houses of kids, they were already outside playing.
Oh, okay.
So when we came out, we didn't get to play with. They didn't want to play with us. So
why was that? You didn't want to play with the first kid that come outside.
That's just what happens, you know. When you talk about bullying now, that could have been a part of bullying. I don't know.
A new phase of bullying. You invented a new phase of
right, you know.
So you're a trailblazer.
A trailblazer. So what we would do, my brother and I, because we're just a year and a half apart, we would crawl up under the fence and go into Caristeel Pitts. So we would fit in because there were so many kids, so they didn't know that we belong there, not belong there, you know, and we ate with them and everything. So honestly, you know, living at that particular time as a child, you would think that, you know, we thought that they had the life. We thought they had the life because there was so many kids. We didn't have to worry about being chosen whether to play or not to play. Sometimes we got out a little earlier, and then whoever didn't come out came out last, and we would play with them. But then from that point,
so when you bullied them too, because you didn't play with them, they came out last too.
No, that was the rule. That was so the child rule. Yep. It was the children rule.
Who made the rule up?
The children made the rule, you know.
The children made the rule.
Right, the children
y'all rule.
Right, you know, look at them. Here they come. We ain't playing with them, you know. That mean everybody had that chance, you know.
You be out tomorrow.
Right. You couldn't go out. You had to go out when your parents asked you to go out.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but we stayed on Balvin Road for that period of time, and then we later moved. Believe it or not, we later moved to Decatur. Okay. My dad and my mom, they separated, and we moved to Decatur, and we lived on McAfee. And that was right at my 7th grade. Really? I was like in the 7th grade then. And so from that point, I attended Garden High, which I think is McNair or something like that. And then that's when we came to East Lake Meadows in my 8th grade. Okay. In the 8th grade, so you went from there to right to East Atlanta then? No. I was at Garden High in the 8th grade when we lived in East Lake Meadows. Okay. And then when at Garden High, when we supposedly have went to East Atlanta, but I didn't go to East Atlanta. I wanted to go back to Harper, where my elementary kids started out at. I can identify. Right. I really can. So that's how, in my 9th grade, I went back to Harper. And my sister was in the 12th grade. Okay. My brother stayed at Garden. Okay. But when my sister graduated, then because from East Lake Meadows to Harper back in the 9th, we had to ride the bus. So I couldn't ride the bus alone at that age. Okay. So did you ever go to East Atlanta? Well, I went to East Atlanta when I got in the 10th grade, after the 9th grade. That's when I started going to East Atlanta. Okay, so now you're in East Lake. Left Harper, all of that.
Now you're finally in East Atlanta.
Yes.
Because you went to school with my brother.
Yes.
Our brother.
Yes.
Okay, so we talk about Sweepy. I call him Sweepy because that's what everybody used to call him. That's when my childhood had a nickname. But you call him Willie, which is real strange for me because everybody of that area definitely called him Sweepy.
Yes.
So what do you know about Willie?
Well, see, what I know about Willie, when we moved into East Lake Meadows, Willie, which is Sweet Pea, we all was going to East Atlanta High School together in the 10th grade. I know that Sweet Pea used to hang with my boyfriend in East Lake Meadows, which his name was Ego.
Oh.
So that's how the relationship with Willie, Ego, we hung together. Also, going back, I remember Sweet Pea first girlfriend because I had a crush on Sweet Pea, believe it or not. But because he and Ego was friends,
you couldn't do it.
I couldn't do it. But I can't remember the girl name, but I know her cousin, so I'm not going to mention the cousin's name. But she was tall and dark skinned. I can't remember her name. Okay. But she was a cousin of a person that lived in East Lake Meadows. Okay. But the Sweet Pea family. Mm-hmm. That's what I call the Sweet Pea.
The Sweet Pea family. They call it Willie or Sweet Pea family.
Sweet Pea, Kenny, all of them. There's a Sweet Pea family. As I said, those are Sweet Pea girls over there. And that's that Sweet Pea brother. But being that Willie was just such, to me, a humble type person.
He was.
And he didn't talk that much, and he reminded me of my brother, Robert. I only have one brother, so he reminded me a lot of my brother. But going back, before moving into East Lake Meadows and coming, starting in the 10th grade, because remember, we was already there in the 8th grade. I was already there. So the area that we moved in was Walton Lane, which Walton Lane was a newly built area.
Exactly.
So you had Walton Lane, Evans Lane, then you had East Lake Boulevard. So all I knew was the people on Walton Lane when we first moved.
Exactly.
Within that horseshoe. Exactly. And everybody, like we had a horseshoe, everybody within the horseshoe.
Exactly.
The great thing about moving to East Lake Meadows was that, like I said, prior to, about the 3 families with kids, you didn't have to worry about that anymore because it was too many children.
That's right.
There was too many children, so you can pick a friend. You can pick a friend. But it was a big transition for me because coming from the era that I was used to, didn't know anything about drugs. I didn't know anything about prostitution. I didn't know anything about pimps. And me being a middle child, if anybody know anything about middle child, was very curious. And so my mom worried a lot about me because the first time when we was in East Lake Meadows, only time we seen SWAT was on TV.
Yes, indeed.
And when I moved over there, I saw SWAT team. I just was amazed, and I'm running out there. My mom yelling and screaming like, "Come back!" The first time I ever seen anybody with a gun. My mom and dad didn't have a gun, so it was a big transition for me, and it worried my mom a lot because I was so curious about what was going on. Not that I wanted to be a part of that, it's just that I had never seen anything like that before. Coming or not, my mom was so afraid of East Lake Meadows. My mom was scared. I think she was more so afraid, I want to say for me. Because like I said, my 2 oldest ones, my 2 oldest ones, they was my older sibling. Then we had the little siblings. But I was the kind of like, don't go over that way. My mom would say go right, I go left. Where that Joyce said this or that or whatever. Val, I don't know where she is. She went down the street, she went over here. But I'm starting, so as I sit back and think, my mom was more afraid for us. So we moved out of East Lake Meadows. We moved out of East Lake Meadows in my 10th year.
In your 10th year?
In my 10th year. We only stayed there 3 years.
Oh, wow.
But most people think we lived there longer.
I know.
But that was only because I was over there. So, I hate to say it, but I liked East Lake Meadows. It wasn't so much of bang, gang,
Exactly.
drugs or whatever. To me, I felt like that was my family.
Exactly.
You know, we had the Muddies, we had the Miss Marys, we had the Miss Francis, we had, we had the people. We were a family inside those walls.
Close it out with East Lake a little bit. Tell us a little bit more your venture as you move from East Lake to what's the name of the city?
Eastwick.
Eastwick.
Village off of Callan Road.
Right.
Yes. When we moved out of East Lake Meadows and moved over to Eastwick, I would ride the bus from Eastwick to East Lake Meadows and catch the school bus and go into school.
Okay.
We didn't have to really be concerned about where we was living at during that time because you could go to any school. It didn't matter. It wasn't like you live in this district, that district, you can't go to this school, that school. That's how I was able to transfer from school to school because it didn't matter long as you got there. Right. And your parent okayed it. So coming back over to East Lake Meadows, because East Lake Meadows was like, to me, the first time that I felt like you was in a home environment and stuff. It was home. Because like I said, you had the mothers. When you got over to East Lake Meadows, you had the other kids, of your age, and you could pick friends or, your boyfriends. So that's one of the reasons why I was coming back, because we moved to Eastwick. Eastwick was more of a white neighborhood. Yes, it was mostly Caucasian, and I didn't like it. And I told my mom, you could throw a pencil in the street, a pen in the street, and you could hear it. Wow. I said, it's so boring. It's so boring over here. And for me to think that we have moved into that life, and you left East Lake Meadows, which was all that you wanted from the previous life, in a sense, and then go to Lily. Yes, that's a transition. But our parents was trying to better us, exactly. As a teenager, and you got to understand, at the age of 16, we're moving. First, we moved at the age of 12, going into 13. Then at the age of 16. So you're hitting all my peer. Exactly. Your parents don't think about that, but you learn from that. And so coming back into going to living in Eastwick, I didn't like Eastwick. But that's amazing. You wouldn't think I would love that. Like people would say, why you keep going back? And my mom was like, you keep going back to East Lake Meadows. And here I have you in this area. But Lightfoot did the same thing. Yes. He talked about it on that thing. Right. They moved and he kept coming back. I kept coming back because that was a family unity in there. No matter what people were saying about East Lake Meadows, it was a family unity. You didn't have to go to one house. You had, like I said, any house that you ended up at, the mom would feed you. Exactly. They would feed you. Exactly. Anything you need adoption or none of that thing. Everybody gonna feed you. When we would go to the games, I didn't have any way to get back home. There was one person that went to East Atlanta High School, had a car. And she needed some gas to get me back to Eastwick. And so from East Lake Meadows to Eastwick, so I went from door to door to get $1. But then you got a nickel, Miss Mary, you got a dime. I went to get to $1 to pay her to drive me back home. But you didn't walk to Fast Ed? Fast Ed? What's Fast Ed? The skate rink down off of, get name the street though. No, I never walked to Fast Ed. That was the joint. Believe it or not, if you notice, I never said anything about skating, partying. I love people. I love children. I wasn't like the clubbing type person. People may not believe that until I got into my 20s. For real though. You know what I'm saying? I would have never would think that, she out here doing this, she out here doing this. I had groups that we went to the movies. I would go to the movies and, maybe go downtown to Underground with a group of friends and stuff like that. So how much more money did you get to get back to where you needed? You always get that? How often did you do it? What, going to the movies? I mean, to get back to Eastwick. how often would I borrow the money? Just as long as all these mothers would give me the money, and that's how I got the money because they was like, oh, girl, you need to take your butt home and you need to stay at home. And I would look at them like, nobody's feeding you. Can you make me some chicken sandwich? Can you give me a biscuit? Can you make them good biscuits? You need to go home. That's what they used to say to me. But I was just one of them little kids. They go like, oh, here comes little Joyce. Believe it or not, I had named little Joyce. But at some point, I did settle. I settled because my boyfriend quit me. When that song came up called, because like I said, you went in that life, and when the song came out, Shacking Up. Yes, it seemed like everybody, that was like 17 or 18, they started shacking up. So my boyfriend ended up shacking up with somebody in East Lake Meadows, and it broke my heart. And so I figured it was time to stop going over to East Lake Meadows because my mom said, by the time you settle down. But I didn't settle down. I just stopped going to East Lake Meadows and made friends. And I don't even really know. I only made like 3 friends in Eastwick.
Were there other families like yours then?
Like where? In Eastwick. Mm-hmm. I never gave the opportunity. Just now, we graduated from East Atlanta. Mm-hmm. I'm senior. I graduated. My mom said, you got 1 year to do whatever you want to do. Mm-hmm. Now, after that 1 year, you're either going to work or you're going to school. I hated school. People don't know I hated school.
But you're so close to East Atlanta. Still today.
I know. But I hated school. I like people. So it's not about sometimes, it's not about sometimes, you can be put into a position, yes, but it's not about that position that you're in. I do know. Mine was all about the people.
Because I don't believe I'm an introvert, but I really am. But because of the work that you did.
Yeah. I'm an introvert.
You are.
Yeah, because I like out. Out. I'm the sign of Aquarius, but I can go high and go low. But like I said, coming from that type of that roadmap in life, like I said, my grandparents was from Vine City. From that type of life, Vine City was nothing like what it ended up turning out to be. So the same life in Vine, whether it was Pier Home, Vine City, or East Lake Meadows. But when we got into Eastwick, it was just like a shift.
I'm sure.
You're either going to adjust to this life, or, you can go back to that life and not have any goals. Mm-hmm. But I had goals. So I didn't go to school. I went to work. I worked for Red Lobster as a hostess until I started working I had several jobs before I came to IRS.
Mm-hmm. But your life started, again, you made a transition to Texas.
Yes. I went to Texas. I moved to Texas during the time that the Wayne Williams story was out.
Yes, indeed.
Carlos was born prior to marriage. So my son was born prior to marriage. When the Wayne Williams story came out, his dad lived here, but his dad went back to Houston, Texas. Then he sent for Carlos and I. And that was during the Wayne Williams story, because Carlos at that time was only 2. He was born in 1980. So he was only 2 years old. I moved to Texas when he was 2 in 1982. When I relocated up to Houston, Texas, I didn't like Houston, Texas either. To be honest with you, because when we came, I went into a Catholic lifestyle. So they were Catholics, and they really didn't believe in children being born at that time. I don't know what the belief is now. Coming from a Baptist to a Catholic, that you should have children outside of marriage. And so his mom, being the type of, that they was deep into their religions as a Catholic, we had to get married.
Okay.
We had to get married. It wasn't no ifs and ands and buts about it. In order to be in that type of family, you had to be married. And his family, not to take away from his family, but you heard my background. And my background was that we were survivors. Our parents couldn't give us everything that we wanted. And going into that lifestyle, it was like going from rags to riches. And I'm just like, what kind of life is this? You know, your mama still washing your clothes. You know, the grandmama still doing it. But you got attorneys, you got lawyers, you got RNs, you got, the dad was a farmer. They had land, they had house. And I'm sitting here going like, no, wait a minute, as far as I got was from the Eastwood, you know, East Lake Meadows. I was used to, what's the word we use, fending for ourselves. And so, but their lifestyle was totally different. And, you know, I was only up there 3 years, even after marriage. I couldn't adjust to it because I was still working for IRS. Right. So I relocated up there, but his mom didn't think I should work, so I took a leave of absence without pay. Yes, I took a leave without pay. She wanted me because that was the firstborn grandchild. Oh, yes. Indeed. So she felt like I should be at home taking care of him, and his dad would take care of me. Oh. But you got to understand what the life I came from. I fended for myself. You know, it's like, not work, not do this. I mean, like some people say, well, you had the life. But so money is not what makes you happy. That type of life is not what made me happy. Because your lifestyle was just too different. It was too different, and they couldn't understand that. You know, his mom, you know, she was a sweet lady. His whole family was very sweet, but I couldn't get into that life. You know, everybody was just like happy, you know, because they had the life, the money. Yes, and so his dad at that particular time was a truck driver. During that time, his dad was pulling in $2,000 when he came off the road. In that era? His dad, I'm not even used to a perfect person with a paycheck. Yes. 82? In 82. In 82, working by IRS, my check was $8,995 a year. Girl, ask me how I know those numbers. But I'm saying, yes, I moved to Houston, Texas. Then the marriage, you know, I just need to come home. I felt like I need to come home. That life wasn't for me. And that's the life that they live. Nothing was wrong with them. That's their life that they live. Exactly. So I get it. I came back. I mean, Jocelyn. And your name is Joyce, and you named her Jocelyn. Why? You know why I named her Jocelyn? I've always wanted my name to be Jocelyn. Are you serious? And you know why I always wanted my name to be Jocelyn? I used to ask Mom, why didn't you name me? That's my mom. Why didn't you name me Jocelyn? Why Joyce? Why would you just stop at Joyce? Why couldn't it be Jocelyn? Jocelyn Dorsey. And I always say, I love Jocelyn Dorsey. I had no idea you worked for the Department of Treasury. I walked in. Did you know who I was then? Your memory probably do not remember the first time you laid eyes on me. Did you know who I was? I did know, or did I know? Did you? Yes. I knew when you came in. The first thing I said, maybe couldn't remember your name, but I said, that's Sweet Pea Sister. That's it. Where are you now? A grandma. How is that? I would love to be a grandma. I'm jealous. To me, to be a grandmother is just one of the God's gifts, you know, to have your children to be a part of your life. We spoil our children, but grandchildren sometimes can't do anything wrong. I get it. And I learned from my grandmothers on both sides, my mom's mother and my grandma. My mom's mother was a baker. My grandmother, she had thick long, on my dad's side, had thick long hair. Every Sunday, every weekend, every summer, we headed to Vine City. Yes, and stayed the whole summer, like we were going out of town. Oh, wow. And so my grandmothers, what my grandmother did for me, that's what I do for my grandchildren. It's 6. It's 4 boys, 2 girls. And my grandchildren live with me. I'm very possessive over my grandchildren, controlling, as my daughter Jocelyn says. I love my grandchildren because my grandchildren, I spoil them, but also discipline. I like my son and my daughter say I let them get away with
way too much.
But it's a line. It's a line. But I want my grandchildren to remember me.
Exactly.
And to say, I remember when grandma used to do this. I remember when grandma used to come in. I play with my grandkids like no tomorrow. I want to wake up in the morning and say good morning to them. I want to see them at night when they lay down sleeping and watching them sleep and stuff. So my grandchildren live with me. My grandchildren build with me. My grandchildren stays and live and sleeps with me.
I love it. And they look like you too.
Yes, you feed them all the time, they're going to look like you. Like they say, you feed them, they're going to look like you. They have my ways. They have picked up my ways. And like, even as a single parent, raising Jocelyn Carlos when I became single, the grandchildren, as a single parent with grandchildren, most people say, don't you need to live your life? Don't you want to go and do this? Don't you want to do this? You got these children. My children is my life.
Exactly.
Because at the end, you may not see them as my life. You may see that I need to do something different. Or I need to be doing this, let my children raise my grandchildren. But you're not in my household. You don't see how much fun we have.
Exactly.
My grandkids have me laughing.
Indeed.
They all got different personalities.
Keeping you young and vibrant and a purpose.
Let's go to the park. Let's go swimming. I can't swim, but they can swim.
Exactly.
You just do certain things. My grandkids is my life. There's nothing that I would want to do outside of being with my grandkids.
Sure.
I've been grown, going to different places, traveling. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I guarantee you, Delta spend time with his grandkids.
Nah, for real.
I guarantee you, Beyonce's daughter, when she do granddaughter, wait until the grandkids get there.
You hear me?
I look at their lifestyle versus my lifestyle as it is as today, is that I don't know where my grandkids are going to go or where my grandkids is going to be, when I'm gone. Exactly. The one thing they would say, grandmama always was there for
the new life. How was that? And how did y'all tell us a little bit about that journey?
A new wife?
Mm-hmm.
It's challenging. It's very challenging when, like I said, I was not married to my daughter's father, but being single, a single parent, a single grandmother, who ran the house outside of God. So, when you sit back and think about that, and then you end up getting married, but I thank God that the person that I married was my high school boyfriend.
Look at that.
We're not going to talk about the East Lake Meadows.
We're not going to talk about that.
I'm talking about the high school boyfriend.
There you go.
10th, 11th, and 10th.
Look at that.
Look at that. He has always been a part of my life throughout that time.
Whenever.
And,
went full circle.
40 years later.
Look at that.
40 years later, who would have ever thought? It could not have been nobody other than him for God to put it, because he know I love my kids.
Right.
So he fit in like a shoe size.
See, what size is that shoe?
He's a 12.
Okay. I ain't saying nothing. Is there any segment, if you want to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly of your time at the Department of Treasury? Is there anything you'd like to say?
Well, I hate to say that I gave IRS 40 years of my life. I grew up in basically IRS. The good was son of the older people that raised us as children and within IRS.
Raised us.
They raised us.
Mm-hmm.
And then the work environment, it taught me about team building.
Mm-hmm.
It also taught me how to go through what trials and tribulations like. And they paid well and had good benefits.
Hello. What's a funny story your family would tell me about you? If I had to ask Val today, what would she say?
She called all the time.
It's not funny, Joyce.
You know, that's, I mean, but it was a good fight. I only fought 4 hours.
There you go. Back in the day, an album cover was cherished just as much as the record itself. What was your favorite album cover?
You know my favorite album cover, Jermaine Jackson.
Right there.
That's
Is
my
that
Jermaine
Oh,
Jackson. That was my
yeah.
boyfriend. Everybody was in love with Michael. I was in love with Jermaine. But Jermaine and I fell out when he ended up marrying Barry Gordy's daughter.
Y'all fell out.
We fell out. We broke up. He don't know that.
He don't know it yet.
No, he don't know that yet.
We're gonna call it to him. If you could bring back one city street that was changed, Bankhead, Chestnut Boulevard, Stewart Avenue, you have a story to tell.
I would bring back Stewart Avenue.
And why?
Because that's the street where all the strippers hung out at, and they was doing something that I couldn't do.
Okay, we ain't gonna ask for that. No one knows. Okay. You didn't read the club, but what was your favorite restaurant? Our house downtown, our house Crystal.
You know what?
What's your favorite food to eat if you clubbing?
Crystal. Crystal stayed over 24 hours.
If you could meet one of these 3 sports legends, who would it be? Michael Vick, Dominique Wilkins, Deion Sanders.
Neither.
I'm not gonna be food to. If you could go back in time and give yourself, 18-year-old self, one piece of advice, what would that be?
At 18?
At 18.
One thing I would give myself at the age of 18 is to set goals and follow your goals.
Okay.
And don't let anyone deter whether it's friends.
Last-
Always keep faith
Yes.
and God first.
Last but not least, we have always loved on each other, laughed together, talked too much to each other. Why have we never hung out?
You're too young.
Thank you, Atlanta. Love you.
Love you too.